Hey, what up, y'all? It's Chani. Happy Transformation Fridays. We are talking about intuition today. This is an important conversation. And the reason it's important is because I believe that intuition is highly misunderstood, vastly underutilized, and one of the most powerful forms of communication that we can really leverage, access, and learn to harness in our lives. So let's get into it. Intuition is the way that God communicates with us. So there's a saying that says prayer is how we talk to God, and intuition is how God talks to us. And you can replace God with source or universe, whatever fill in the blank feels comfortable for you. So the other definition that I've heard of intuition that I think is really helpful as a basis for this conversation is intuition is knowing without knowing how you know. And when you think about that and what that means and where that lands is like when somebody knows something, they're certain, they're clear, there is no ambiguity, there is typically not a lot of room for misinterpretation or miscommunication because when you know, you're clear. Now, knowing can be tricky because we think we know a lot of shit and we probably don't know as much as we think, right? However, when you know something that is relative to you, when you know how you feel or you know what's going on for you, nobody can dispel that. Nobody can tell you that that is not so because it's your experience and the way that you are perceiving something or the way that you are experiencing emotion is a knowing. So what we want to pull apart is what happens a lot of times when intuition is present and we are not prepared to receive it. I think one of a couple of things happen. Either A, we override intuition with doubt and we sort of push it to the side like, oh, no, that can't be. Let me think about this and let me go into a thought process to make sure that I can cognitively justify a decision or an action. Or we mistake emotion for intuition. So if we're going to be able to leverage intuition and we're going to be able to utilize it in our lives and harness it to receive guidance and be in communication with the greater part of us, with source, what we want to do is recognize its characteristics, right? So when it comes, when it flows through, when it shows up, what are we looking for? Well, we're looking for something that's not cognitive. So it typically is not going to show up in the form of a rational thought. It's typically not emotional. So it's not going to show up as a visceral feeling in terms of it being attached to fear or attached to excitement or attached to skepticism. It will show up as a bodily sensation. However, within this sensation, there is also a calm, a peace and a knowing that accompanies it. And this is the differentiating factor. So how do we recognize that? The only way that we can recognize it is if we ourselves spend time cultivating a sense and an ability to know what our center, what our calm, what our sense of peace feels like within our own body. And so if this is not something that you have a practice of doing, whether it be through meditation or breath work or what have you, I encourage you to, in this coming week, take time for yourself. It doesn't have to be a big fucking production practice in the morning, light the candles and burn the incense and do all the shit. It can literally just be take some time in your car before you get out to go to work or to go into the store and just breathe and just feel your center a little bit. All you need is a couple of seconds in through the nose, out through the mouth. And all you need is a couple of seconds of awareness to start to find your stasis, right? And when you are there, what you'll notice is there is a sense of peace that exists. And when intuition flows, when intuition arises, it arises in that same way and in that same state. So when we are clear, and I don't think that we can really leverage and understand intuition without leveraging and understanding clarity. And clarity is what I call the soul's gold, right? It's the most valuable thing that we can have, because within it, there's no room for ambiguity or misunderstanding. And the same is true for intuition when we can recognize it. So this offering is to give you some tools to be able to recognize intuition when it shows up and start to leverage it more in your life and within your day-to-day experiences. So I hope this is helpful.